Gold Robot, everybody, part two. In uh, this is like the tutorial section now for version three. Uh, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of a session. I thought that might be easier to go through things, like kind of go through it backwards. So start with. We'll start with the. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so playing roulette on the right hand side on this window, and on this window is the Diamond app, and I have been just entering all the numbers that hit here. You can see the history down here at the bottom, and so I've selected. So you have your color select here in advanced slash color select under the dozens column. It does have a checkbox, but just don't use that. That's for another thing, another video. So there's lots of functions, I guess, with this machine that have been improved upon or led to other developments. So we're just going to stick to the optimal use, which is uh, you always have to pick a color. So that's never going to change. So pick a color. I'm going to go back to yellow. You are going to pick uh, a progression system, but you're going to pick PCP. We're not going to use Data Blade for a little while until I figure out, if I ever figure out the calibrations for that system. Um, it's been Data Blade has been hit or miss, so I've I have since developed a new system here, PCP, and it has been it's been it's been going strong here. So then I then we came out with version 3, which gives these numbers here in this blue part of the action panel. So you have your action panel with the four different colors, giving you the full history for each color. M2 means the last two rounds were a miss for green. The two rounds before that, this H2, that means prior to that there was two hits in a row. Prior to that there was six misses in a row. Prior to that, one hit. Prior to that, three misses. Prior to that, it says G1, that means green. That's a zero hitting. Prior to that, two hits in a row. Prior to that, another zero, then a hit, then a zero, then a hit, then a miss, and then that's it. Doesn't need. I mean, you really don't need to. It does help to have uh, like half to like keep your eye on like half of it. You don't really need to like knowing that there was a miss way back here. I don't think that for a human brain, I don't think that changes things too much. But like getting a sense of what's going on with like the front half of each color can suggest to you when and where to switch colors. But again, that has proven to be not extremely effective unless you're really, really on it all the time, right? So it can get to the point where it's a hit or miss. So we've added this blue part of the action panel that says inside, outside. Inside meaning the two inside colors of this bar, which is blue and salmon. Outside are the two outside colors. As you can see on the display, yellow and green are going to be on the display every round, and it's going to alternate. So green on the next round is going to select 2 dozens, and yellow is going to select 1 dozen. Same with the blue and salmon. They're always going to be binary to each other. So this is the double binary. Is you have blue and salmon, and you have yellow and green. Those are the double binary. So if I select blue here, if I can select blue, so sometimes the colors all merge and they're all the same, which is what we have at the moment. But sometimes they'll be all 4 colors will be selecting a different location. So, and I have that and the locations select part of this is the super secret formula. Okay, that's what actually maintains this up here. If you look at this action panel, that's why there aren't giant, huge spikes like M20 or 15 even, so it will spike to 10 to 14 super rarely, and it will always have hundreds to thousands of rounds between a spike like that. So, and that's because of the location system. Okay, so moving forward, we have selected a progression, PCP, and PCP has 3 rates of progress. So A is your gentle progression, B is aggressive, and C is the same aggression, the same list, the same progression list, except it is even more aggressive because when you're when you trigger a progression reset on C, it doesn't fully reset. It does a partial rollback. Okay, so that is extremely aggressive. Okay, so that is that, and now I wanted to we're going to go back to the blue part of this action panel. Like, what is this inside S1 2, right? There's 2 S1s. What does that mean? And on the outside, there's 1 S1. What does that mean? The S1 is just denoting single the single bet. So, which will alternate every round. So this round the single bet is green. Next round the single bet will be yellow. But this outside number is going to keep track of if the singles bet wins. At the moment it's one. It hit once. It hit the last time. It hit one time, and prior to that it was a double. That's why. So it's keeping track of the consistency or the continuity. So on the inside colors, the blue and the salmon, the last 2 rounds have hit on the singles bet. Just like I said, there up here in the colors, um, these numbers will sometimes spike to 14. As uh, as well, these inside to outside, it will also keep track of when the 2 bet hits. That will spike to 14 as well. Between 10 and 14 will be like the major spike, and then you can almost guarantee that isn't going to happen for the next 100 to 1,000 and sometimes beyond rounds. I've never seen it actually hit within 100 rounds. I think the the tightest I've ever seen is a 10 hit within like 300 rounds once in 15,000 rounds. So it's a that's a pretty good ratio. All right, um, so sometimes the double bet will hit up to 14 times in a row. right? Sometimes the spike for the singles bet will be 3 to 6. That will be the that will be the rare. They're much more common, by the way. So a spike in a doubles bet going to 14, like that can happen, like I would say once every 100 rounds. Sometimes it doesn't, but it can happen once every 100 rounds, right? Most of the time it takes more than a little bit more than that, but it's not going to be thousands of rounds, like ever. It's like never going to be thousands of rounds without a spike on a two bet the two bet series consecutively hitting in a row. So anyway, this what does this mean? S1 2. That means on the inside colors, that's where we are. The last two rounds was a singles bet, so we're gonna use that information. And yeah, but yes and no, right? So you say the past has no bearing on the future. You're right. Okay, but it's because this game, this roulette game, which is total randomness, it doesn't exist in time at all. That there is no time. It doesn't pertain to time, right? So, but it's always random, except for extreme non-random events. There are extreme non-random events that occur like 1 in 100,000 rounds or above, right? 100,000 to 500,000 rounds. You will see a non-random event, and that's for another video. But here we're going to uh, do do a snipe, right? We're using the information, and we're gonna bet against the trend. So if three is random, it's or sorry, is three is rare. It's rare to have three singles bets hit in a row. I'm gonna switch to the. I read that wrong. Inside, we're not on the inside, so we're gonna switch to green or sorry, we're gonna switch to salmon or blue. So now we're on the inside colors. Okay, so and we're gonna bet on the two spot. And as I was saying about this time thing, this session right here has been sitting here for well this whole time that we've been talking, and then a while I've been before I turned this recording on. I was playing, but it was like an hour ago, and then I've been kind of just chilling out for like 45 minutes. I didn't close my windows; I just left them up, and I've been just watching news and whatever, chilling out, and playing. I play other games as well, and then I turn on the recording. The point is, there's lots of dead space, dead time in between the last round and the round I'm about to play. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much time. Hmm, So it doesn't matter how much time is in between a round, and that's what that whole the future doesn't, or sorry, the past doesn't determine the future. That's actually what that I think, at least in my experience, which is probably a lot more than anyone else. But that's what that's actually where that's coming from. And it's not because it doesn't care about time or I don't know. It's just because it just the time doesn't exist in this game. When you have random, a fully random or naturally random system, discrete system, meaning that there's a certain number of options that it can that can occur, which is this 1 through 38. You have 1 through 36, and then you have the two zeros, 1 through 38. That means like time doesn't exist here, um, but it will always be random, so it doesn't matter how much time you take in between rounds. It's still gonna fit into a random quality or characteristic. I know there's not really a word for that, but and that is what this machine here follows and records. So I doesn't matter that I sat here for 45 minutes, an hour without playing. I'm still going to take this information of it hitting twice in a row on a singles bet on these colors, and I'm going to bet against it. And I'm also going now before I do, I gotta get my the Diamond app up to speed here because my total is 25,340. And if we look at the PCP history, the last number I've entered is this number here, 25,140. So I need to enter the correct number, press enter, and now I'm going to, the UTP number is if you're going to go off track. If you're not going to bet what your display is telling you, you're going to want to use the UTP number. So, and that is currently the case. I'm going to be betting on the two bet, whether it's blue or salmon, and I'm going to use the UTP to be safe. Oops. Um, but I'm pretty sure. No, I'm not going to be. We'll just use it. We'll double it. All right. There we go. Okay, so let's put a little extra. Like when you have when you have good odds. Okay, well that didn't work, but that's so this is a rare spike, right? The singles bet hit 3 times in a row. So now my UTP is 20. My display is telling me to use 100. Might as well just not recommended though to go that much of a leap to bet 100, but I did, and there you go. Okay, so it didn't go past 3. And that is that. So we're going to enter the information that just occurred there. You just press the number that hits. Then you will enter your new total. Press enter on your keyboard. And oh, I pressed 34 twice. So I was looking up here at this inside, it says TS, that's the 2 spot. That just means the double bet. There's a 2 there, so I'm like, wait, something's wrong. If you look down at the last numbers entered, I entered 34 twice. So I'll just press undo to fix that, and then I'll re-enter or press update here at the results bay. And so now this is my current display bet. I don't recommend following that because I haven't been following the display bet. So this isn't really going to be the best option. But sometimes if you're feeling really, froggy or squirrely, right? You will missed it. So now we're gonna go. Now we kind of are stuck. So since I took that risk on with the betting on track, I'm going to continue to play on track. So the when you are betting on track, how it works is when you get the singles bet win, that's the reset trigger. That's when it triggers a reset. So So now in this instance, I'm gonna take note though, UTP is 170. So I'm actually gonna increase it so that if I do get the win, it will it will restore my total. But and again, so UTP is what, so we will be sort of mixing between the display bet and the UTP, but we are going to follow the on track locations. And until my total is restored, which is up here at this peak. That's the restoration value that we're going for here. So, but unfortunately, since I made a risky choice and it didn't come through, now I'm kind of locked in. I kind of have to play this way, or I might get myself into some fully random trouble. The machine gives you a slightly less than random solution. Oops. Okay, got that. And if you start bouncing around in the middle of a set before you recover, you can produce full random and then, produce a really arbitrary, like, series of losses that hit really hard. So I'm going to go back to my display total. And until we get a win on the singles bet, that's when the progression system resets. So here's a case where my display is at 300, my UTP is lower, so I'm gonna bet lower. UTP is always the smartest move, and that is why. So you want to stick to that as much as you can. So in this case, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna just go down to my display bet. Sadly, we are on a journey here. So these numbers are pretty close. So I'm gonna just go all the way up there. So I'm rounding up a little bit, and using the rule of thumb to cover insurance. So 1/10 of my so here's a situation where I'm gonna go above the UTP, so hopefully this works. Okay, good. And 170. So okay, so here's a good situation. My display is up to 1,000. My UTP is at 600. I'm gonna be at 600. And keep in mind, this is the most aggressive progression, and uh, I also I just made a random choice to slide over to that amount, at that 100 amount, and then we lost, and now we're on this journey, just hanging on here until we get a nice hit on the single side. One of these days it'll, okay, not yet. So I'm gonna probably, oh wow, well, we just have to go with 1,000. 27. So here's a situation that outside, I'm not going to switch the outside numbers since I'm already on a little journey here. Um, but there's this, the two spot has hit 9 times in a row. That's a good time. Now, if I wasn't already deep into a set, I would definitely switch to the outside colors, green and yellow, and just hold on to the one spot until it comes through, because that's pretty rare. A nine. Let's see if maybe I still have a chance. 26, 7. No, so we missed it, but that's okay. So, all right, so that's that. That's one way to play, where you're kind of sniping the one spot or the two spot. You can also play to snipe a color when there's a big spike in a color. You go to the miss side, so like back here where this says M6. If I wasn't already playing that yellow and took that hit of those M6, those misses, those 6 misses in a row. If I was playing somewhere else, hopefully I was playing green and I got the 6 hits. Um, but anyway, if I was one of the other three colors and saw that there's M6 developing, then I would just switch to yellow and I would just play yellow until it takes a hit and go through, all these different snipe modes. And then there's a third. It's not even really a snipe mode. It's kind of just like a super awesome maneuver. You probably wouldn't think works, but you just always play a single dozen, and you just only use the UTP. So I will just start doing that now. So oops, not and definitely don't fudge these numbers. So you saw there was some fudging of the numbers, um, because of the way I started that set. So I didn't start that set, um, academically, so to speak, according to the machine. I just sort of randomly jumped into it and got myself into a journey, but it did pay off. We were 1,000 points ahead. But if you're gonna do this last maneuver here and holding the single spot, definitely just use the UTP, because it also, because it can get deep. Like I said, there can be 14 two spots in a row. So you're gonna see 14 losses in a row about every 150 to 300 rounds. Sometimes it takes longer, but those would be rare. But it is gonna happen.